Hi, I am Lobar Baxromova, and in this video we are going to talk about the notion of plagiarism and the ways of avoiding it. And this video is prepared for the foreign language students especially, and we are going to talk about the plagiarism and the ways of it and the types of it and the notions that is related to the plagiarism and the ways of how to avoid plagiarism. So, in order to define and clearly understood this video, we have to be aware of some kind of terminologies like as plagiarism. For example, when we talk about plagiarism, we should understand presenting work or ideas from another source as your own work with or without agreement of the original author. It means that when we are trying to, when a student tries to get an information from a book or in a source, they have to, they don't inform the reader about the original creator of the word or the context and just copies it out and presents it as his own work by incorporating it into your work without fully acknowledgement. So, second terminology is quotation. So what's quotation? Quotation is copywriting the exact words or of the original text using others' name. Most of the students are always advised to use quotation in their work. So why we call it quotation? Because when we are stating our words or statement or information, we usually use quotation mark in order to express these ideas. That's why we'll call it quoting. Next one is citation. Citation is one of the type of quotation. In general, we'll say this word quoting or quotation, but when we give it in the sentence, when we give this sentence in the text, we'll use it to say it is a citation. So what's citation? When we clarify or define it word by word. Citation is the way you tell your reader the certain material in your work came from another source. So we'll talk about the different types of citation when we throughout the video. However, now it's enough to know the only definition of this word. Second one is first one is summary. So what is summary? It is not summary that is usually given to at the some part of the essays or some part of the academic writings. It is just giving the notion of the giving the notion of the general context. For example, summary is to give a reader an objective account of main ideas and features of the text. So paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is a way of using different words and phrases to present the same ideas. Most of the book publishers or the writers used to use paraphrasing while they are creating their own academic writing, because it is also considered one of the effective way of creating your own writing. So paper. So what is paper? In general, most of the documents are called paper, but paper is a written document that is presented the findings of a research study or scholarly inquiry in a formal manners, and it is usually written in formal manner. So what's formal manner? Formal manner is written using formal and academic words in your writings, usually using passive voice and avoiding referring yourself. Report. Report is a piece of information writing, an act of communication as an account of investigation. Dissertation. Dissertation is usually a long-term project to produce a long-term piece or writing. So, students are usually asked to write dissertation when they are writing their final work at the university time, or when they are going to get their diploma work, or when they are going to get their certificate from a certain course. So dissertations are the paper about your qualification. So style, what is style? Informal and style is a form of using a word or a genre that is usually asked by some kind of organizations. And there are 4 types of styles. There are MLA style, APA style, and Chicago style, and CSE style. Let's define all of them one by one and clearly understand what is style. So, when you imagine you are going to write an academic paper or academic work, usually they can be a report, thesis, dissertation, or essay, or such kind of piece of writing which is done by the individuals or students or the pupils. So if you are going to send this or submit this work in some kind of journals, magazines, or organizations, the first thing you have to know is that you have to analyze or ask the what style you have to write this paper. For example, in Western University, students usually are asked to use APA style. So APA style stands for American Psychological Association. So, but in some kind of universities, they are asked and used MLA style, so Modern Language Association. And Chicago style also mostly used. But the final one is CSE, Council of Science. It is mostly used by the biologists, ecologists, and zoologists and medicine people. They usually ask to write their theses, diploma works, or some kind of inventions in this style. So, style. What are the style? Style includes different kind of things. For example, writing numbers, shifts, ways of writing, and inches, and the documentation style. So, now let's move to our main topic. Let me define what's plagiarism. Not only what's plagiarism, what's academic plagiarism. Academic plagiarism at university is a form of cheating and is a serious academic offense. It arises from submitted that is not the student's own and has been taken from another source. Often includes lack of reference or poor paraphrasing and complete copying. In many countries, academic plagiarism is counted as a serious offense, and it sometimes causes to lose their participation in the university or to get very low mark and to and not to allow to submit your work, or some kind of fines and etc. So in order to avoid the academic work, will advise you so many informations at the end of this video. So let me inform you about 8 types of plagiarism. So mosaic plagiarism, it is the first one. The second one is source-based plagiarism. Third one is paraphrasing plagiarism. Fourth one is translation plagiarism. Fifth one is self-plagiarism. Sixth one is accidental plagiarism. Seventh one is commissioning plagiarism. So now we'll learn all of them in detail one by one. First, we'll give the definition of this. We'll talk about the definitions of all the plagiarism types. Then we'll discuss one by one. What are they and how they occur? Okay? So, direct plagiarism. Sometimes direct plagiarism is called copying plagiarism. When direct plagiarism is occurred by a student, student copies the content word by word, transcription of a section of someone else's work without attributing and without quotation marks. There is no any in-text citations or in-text reference or evidence of the source in the reference list. So, Let me explain it more detail. What's direct plagiarism? Direct plagiarism is we are just taking one source. First, imagine we are writing an essay and you are finding a very reliable source that you want to add your work in order to support your ideas. Then you will get these ideas from this context or from the source and just copy it word by word and add your own work. And there is and you don't give any sign about the real author, or you don't mention the authors or it is source in your reference list. So it is called direct plagiarism. So second one is mosaic plagiarism. Mosaic plagiarism is sometimes called patchwork or patch writing. Is when a student only paraphrasing using a few synonyms for the author's language while keeping to the same general structure. There is an in-text reference and the source in the reference list. In this case, you may have a question. We are citing the author and we are including a reference in our reference list. Why it is called plagiarism? So when you are doing mosaic, when you occur at mosaic plagiarism, you just find a source from a context and then you will copy this sentences or this content. Then you will only change few words with the synonyms. It also occurs. It also shows as a plagiarism rate when you upload your work through the online sites. For example, if you uploaded this work to the Canvas, Turnitin checks your work and it shows as a plagiarism work other parts of your citing work, but not the words that is changed or exchanged with the synonyms. So third one is source-based plagiarism. Source-based plagiarism is using incorrect citing of a source. This can be simply referring a source incorrectly or more seriously fabricating source. It also includes utilizing a second source of information but only citing the primary source as a reference. Let me clearly define and explain how it is occurred. Source-based plagiarism occurs when you are searching an information through the online tools or through the book and finding lovely information in order to back up your ideas. But the author also used another book in order to support his own ideas. But you don't want to search the first person who stated this statement, and you just write down in your in-text citation to the second author's name and include your reference list to the second authors. But when you upload your work to the online platforms, they show you the real author and shows as a plagiarism to your work. So, self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism occurs when a student submits his or her own work, previous work, or mixes some parts of it from previous work to his new work without permission from their professor or from their teacher. You may say it is not a plagiarism because we are writing this paper ourselves. Why it might call it plagiarism? But it's also plagiarism, but it is self-plagiarism. If your teacher or professor allows you to copy it out, or he says or she says, I'm just gonna check your knowledge about writing, for example, summary, if it is summary, or you know about summary structure, or no, I'm gonna check it. It is okay if you ask first allowance from your professor, but it is not allowed for you if you got your work marked from other course and without your professor permission. You are taking this paper again and taking again a mark for this paper. So it is self-plagiarism. and it's also considered academic offence. Accidental plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism occurs when a person neglects to cite the source and misquotes the source, or unintentionally paraphrases the source without attributing. This is still an academic offence. So, what's accidental plagiarism? In some cases, writing and misspelling the words when they are writing, or not being so attentive for your writing, or not to be you are remembering some kind of sentences that is unique for you, in order you want to add this words to your work. However, you don't know the author, but you are just imagining the author's name and writing down, supposing that your teacher don't know about it or doesn't know about it. Then, however, when you upload your work, Turnitin or other kind of plagiarism checker sites will easily notice the changes or notice your lie and shows the plagiarism rate. So next one is that we are gonna talk about is plagiarism commissioning. Plagiarism commissioning nowadays is the most widespread type of the plagiarism, because we have many lazy students in this day, and they prefer to accomplish all the works easily and without paying, without any effort. They just sometimes prefer to pay for it. So, as you understand, plagiarism commissioning is also known as a contract cheating. It's a serious academic offense where another individual or company, especially essay writing services, completes the whole or some part of the assessment on the behalf of the student. It usually involves financial transaction. So what's financial transaction? It is not only about, when we talk about only students, we don't only come across such kind of plagiarism. Nowadays, we can find plagiarism commissioning in many fields. For example, when we are preparing documents, even teachers are also offered preparing documents or some kind of formative and summative works. They are offering their jobs in order to, and they want to accomplish their job on the behalf of you. But it is also considered as an offense, as an academic offense, and we don't require you and we don't offer you to do so. So, we have talked about 8 types of plagiarism. However, there are many ways of avoiding it. I advise the students not to plagiarize from others' work. However, create their own work. It is easy to create your own work, and I will suggest you 4 ways of creating your own work effectively. First one is quoting. In the beginning of the video, we have talked about quoting, and there are many ways of quoting, but 2 ways are also very advisable. They are parenthetic quoting and narrative quoting. Let me tell the next point's quoting as a citing. When we say quoting, we usually mean giving citation in our work. There are 2 ways of quoting. As I told you, parenthetical citation. For example, parenthetical citation what? What we have to understand when we say parenthetical citation. Parenthetical citation is giving the author's name and year of publication and page number in parentheses. To tell the other words, giving the author's name, year of publication, and the page number in the bracket right after the given information. You will write your sentence or context and mix it in your paper, but you don't mention any author's name, but just give the content, and at the end, in bracket, you have to give the author's name, published year, and the page number. For example, The author claims that, comma, and quotation mark, plagiarism is becoming a bigger problem. We'll close with quotation mark, then opening brackets, Smith, comma, 2014, comma, and page 37. We'll close bracket and put period. So this is one of the example of pedagogical citation. So let me move to the narrative citation. What's narrative citation? Apart from pedagogical citation, in narrative citation we usually mention author's name in our examples. So narrative citation is including the author's name in the text with the publication year, or place the publication year with the number of the page at the end of the sentence in bracket. When we are including such kind of narrative citation in our writing, we have two ways. First one is just writing with a word before or after the author's name, then we'll include the year of publication in the bracket. Then we'll state our statement. Or we don't, after the author, we don't give any kind of published year. We'll present it at the end of the sentence. For example, as Smith, opening the bracket, 2014, closing the bracket, has shown, comma, plagiarism is a serious issue for university, period. Or Smith states that plagiarism is becoming increasingly widespread, opening bracket, 2014, comma, page 170, closing bracket, and period. So now we have talked about two ways of citing. I guess two of them also were very informative for you in order to avoid plagiarism in your work. So our next step is paraphrasing. What's paraphrasing? Paraphrasing involves rewriting a text so that the language is substantially different while the content stays the same. We have three types of paraphrasing ways. So paraphrasing is also common types of the writing, and it's very effective. And when you pass your work with paraphrasing, usually Turnitin or other plagiarism checker tools doesn't show any plagiarism rate. So let's define and let's see three of the paraphrasing ways. So first one is changing the synonyms of the sentence. Let's imagine that we are finding a content or a word or a sentence from a source. Then we are thinking about how to paraphrase it. We have one way that we have to mark the words that can be changed with the synonyms. Then we'll just change the synonyms with another one. However, it is not. I don't advise this way. Because when you post such kind of citations or such kind of work, Turnitin may easily know that work is taken from others' work. The second one is changing some words with the word classes. As the first one I've told, word class is also very important, but in order to paraphrase effectively, we have to be knowledgeable and we have to be an experienced person on the paraphrasing field. So we have to mark some words in our sentences and identify its word classes and change its word class with another word class. For example, if in your work the word is defined as a noun, you may change it with verb version or adjective version, and you'll make some kind of changes in your sentence. Last one is changing the word structure, or the sentence, not word structure, but the sentence structure. And it is also very, very effective way in order to avoid plagiarism. You will completely change your sentence structure. With this way, you can definitely success in order to avoid your plagiarism. So the third one is summarizing. Summarizing is also considered the best way to avoid plagiarism, and it usually doesn't show any plagiarism rate when you submit your paper. But in order to summarize, you have to analyze, you have to underline what is very effective and what is very informative to your work. Even sometimes in 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs or even one sheet of paper, you can find very informative works, but don't know how to include in your work, because in your work sometimes banned to include wide size of content to include in your work. In this way, summarizing is the best way. In order to summarize, you will just take the main gist and present it in your work. So last one is, before submitting your work, please check its online tools like Turnitin, Plug, and other kind of tools. If you don't know any kind of plagiarism checking tools, you can easily Google it, and there are lots of list is given to check. Some of them free of charge, but some of them costly. Thank you for your information. Thank you for the attention.